People ask us all the time how we can provide patient care after hours and how we can eliminate after hours contracts. So there's several ways that we can do this. Typically what we do for this is we create an after hours call queue for the doctors that are on call. Essentially, they will log in and the calls will come to them to provide faster response times, meaning that a call comes into the office, they press 1 to reach the after hours care doctor. That call will directly go to the doctor. The nice thing is they are going to get that on the mobile application that we have for them. They are also have the ability to call that person back and mask their telephone number. This allows doctors not to be able to give out their own personal cell phone number, keeps everything within the system so it's reportable, trackable, those kind of things. Makes it a much better experience for the people calling after hours. Let's talk a little bit about high call volumes and different ways to handle them during peak times. So I guess first, there's a lot of ways to handle this and a lot of different strategies about how to do something like this. The first one I'm going to talk about is a little bit more of a traditional one. This is going to be front-ending calls with some kind of pre-recorded message. So what the idea behind this is you're trying to get people directed to the right group or right department within the organization. So an example would be, thank you for calling the doctor's office. If you are looking to set an appointment, press 1. If you're looking for a prescription refill, press 2. These things are going to route calls to the appropriate people. So the idea behind that is to get a first call resolution. So people aren't transferred from one group to another group to another group from there. The idea behind this is to make a true, easy experience for folks that are calling in and not to make them wait in necessary places where it doesn't make sense. Another way to handle this is going to be after they have selected a particular option that they want to go to, now we're going to put them into what we call in our organization a call queue. A call queue is going to give a lot of options to not only the practice, but to the end users. So I'll give you a few examples. So a call comes in, it says, thank you for calling our prescription refill line. Please continue to hold while one of our representatives will be there momentarily to assist you. So there are a lot of peak times that happen during practices. Sometimes it's first thing in the morning. Sometimes it's when people get out of work. So being able to give people the same amount of time when they call in is important. So how do you eliminate some of those long hold times? So there's a couple of strategies that you can use with this. The first one is pre-call announcements, right? Letting them know like, hey, you are positioned 4 in queue, letting them know how long they potentially are waiting for something like that. So that maybe they want to call back at a different time. That's an option for them. We also have the ability to do what is called a queue callback, meaning when a call comes in, you can play a message to people that wait after X amount of time, and they can say, hey, we are so sorry that you've been waiting longer than normal. If you'd like to hold your place in line and have someone call you back, please press 1 now. They press the button, they hang up. When that person becomes free, it places an outbound phone call to them. They're able to answer it from there. This really works well in those very high peak busy times to just get a better experience, right? You're already calling the doctor's office and you're probably not the most excited about doing that because you don't feel well. So anything to alleviate the stress and something like that makes it super helpful. Another option within that queue is the ability to have this overflow to other people within the organization. So an example would be we have 3 people at the front desk, a call comes in, all of the folks are on the phone and are busy. After 30 seconds, it rings another group of people within that organization. The nice thing is with call queues, we are actually able to tag those calls, meaning when the call comes in, you can say prescription or appointment on your phone. So you as an overflow person would know best how to answer that phone call. It's going to give you more insight. It's going to allow you to better answer the call and get that first call resolution like we talked about. Very important. And it just gives a better experience through the whole time. The other thing is we also have the ability to do some reporting on this. So now when we look at reports, we can see the amount of call volumes that come into these particular queues. We actually have the ability to do some forecasting with this to see, hey, Monday between 8 and 10 is a very busy time. Maybe we need to bring in an extra person to answer the calls for that particular day. Also, on the other side of it, is, hey, we know that later on in the afternoons, traffic falls off, right? We're not as busy on the phone. Maybe we don't need to staff another person. This is going to allow you to better structure your business, and by using some informed data to make those calls of when to staff people and when to not. This is also part of our solution, as is free and included as part of our service. There is no additional cost for these things, so it really makes the solution a nice fit for an organization. Let's talk about multi-channel communications and why it is important for patient care. So I think an important thing to understand is we have a multitude of ways that people can communicate to your organization within our platform. So we have things such as, of course, your normal voice calls, the ability to do text messaging with a patient, the ability to escalate things to a video conference call. There's even the ability to chat via your website. So as we move into, supporting care for younger generations, these things are going to become more prevalent in today's society. So to be able to offer those, and with our solution, we actually give all of those forms of communication free as part of our service. So maybe, for instance, you're on a phone call and you're doing a basic conversation with somebody that is maybe a little mentally depressed, and they need to take this to a further conversation so you can read their body language. Like, hey, let's hop on a video call and let's talk about this a little bit more, right? You can read the room, you can kind of see what's going on with that person, just another layer to have that kind of care for somebody like that. And obviously, telemedicine is another piece of this that is becoming very popular for a first round of consultation. It allows you to assess the issue. If it's a simple prescription, it can be done without actually having to come into the practice. So these multi forms of communication are really helpful to meet all different types of demographics of people that you want to communicate with. And it allows you to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to other companies like yourself. We all know burnout for staff is a real thing. So how can we use our solution to combat that? This is one thing that, realistically, numbers do not lie. We give managers the tools to identify the slackers and the superstars within your organization. So what do I mean by that? So one thing that happens from a burnout perspective is when a lot of calls are coming in and somebody is answering a ton of those, right? I feel like I'm the only person answering the calls. As a manager, we're actually going to give you the tools to see real time how many calls a particular person has answered, how many calls they have ignored, how many calls that they just didn't respond to, or whatever the case may be. So the ability for you to see those things in real time is super helpful in managing your staff. There's also the ability for us to report on these things, meaning how nice would it be every Monday morning you had a report that was emailed to you with all of the stats from last week. How many calls were answered, who answered them, how many calls did we miss? Did we have abandoned calls? Abandoned calls mean lost money. We've actually seen a lot of clients actually take this and do it as a report halfway during the day. Any abandoned calls were dedicated to a staff person to actually make those phone calls to that particular person, back to those folks, to set that appointment, to get what they needed, those types of things. Lost calls mean lost revenue. And if we can give you the tools to do that, it's going to allow you to better manage your people and avoid those burnouts of somebody constantly answering all of the calls and the weight not being shared evenly across the particular group. How can healthcare teams use patient feedback to improve healthcare communications? So a common thing that we get asked for all the time is we're trying to improve our end user experience, right? People that call in, did they have a good experience with us? Did they not? And how do we understand what that looks like? But how do we do it impartially and not just what we hear or always the complaints that people are giving us and those kind of things? So there's a way to do that. We actually do what is called a post-call survey. And essentially, when you have a call that comes in, that's going to go after would you like to take a brief survey after our call? They have the ability to do that. And so this is going to actually ask a series of questions. This is fully customizable. So you have the ability to ask pointed questions of how you want for a specific group if you would like. It is also the ability for us to report on that data. So You can get an email that says, hey, how was your customer sats last week? Hey, we got all fives, we had 2 3s, and whatever the case may be. And you can go back in and review those.